All right, what's that?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have returned.
Philip
Take a sip.
Types
We both just
podcast
yep.
returns.
We both just took a sip of our drinks. So there was a long moment of silence there, but we're back. We were just discussing Mr. Alex Jones.
That's right.
One of the great minds of our time.
Yeah,
just
all
kidding.
things and of all people.
Yeah, just kidding about that. So I guess what, he's getting sued for defamation?
He is, yeah, something like that, man. It's it's the whole thing about him saying that stuff didn't happen. That it was like, I don't know where he got that. I don't it's beyond me. What would happen in a person's mind to imply that something like that was like false or some conspiracy thing?
Yeah,
that's what he said, and this is why he's on trial.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, too, dude. He's not the only one that says this.
Other people have said that. Other people have said that.
Yeah, that's a thing. That the Sandy Hook, dude. There was a podcast, dude, that I would sometimes listen to when I was younger, called Mysterious Radio, because I love shit like I love that shit. I love like I'm not so into conspiracies, but I'm into like aliens, Bigfoot, ghosts, shit like that. The supernatural, the unexplained, stuff like that. But they would sometimes have some kooky people on, and they had a dude on there. And granted, I haven't looked into this, but I mean seriously, come on, like what do you even need to really look into?
Right.
But the title
one of those things, man.
Yeah. The title of the podcast was "No One Died at Sandy Hook," and
oh boy,
I probably shouldn't even say that, just quoting it, because we'll probably get fucking flagged or something. But
no, we might get flagged.
Yeah, God, that was a quote unquote. But yeah, it's a thing, dude. It's a thing.
Yeah,
it's crazy, man. It's one of those. It's one of those things. It's like Flat Earth, where it's like I want to hear the case for this.
For it, like the case for it.
Yeah, like what could? Because to me, right, like I'll go into, like, all right. So one of my favorite YouTube channels right now is Modern Day Debate, and it's this organization that just a few times weekly they have 2 or more people on to debate something. Religion, politics, science. I listened to one the other day about, did a debate between 2 people about did Jesus' resurrection happen, and then the day before, a few weeks ago I listened to another one on the same channel about does Bigfoot exist, and it was a debate between 2 primatologists. It's really interesting. But there was a debate on there that I've been meaning to watch between Flat Earther versus Round Earther, and I just want to watch it because I'm like, what? Like, there's because like when you're doing a debate, there's like one person's opening argument, then the other person's opening argument, and each is like 15 minutes, and it's like you got to realize if you're a Flat Earther and you have a 15-minute opening statement, there are 15 minutes that you have to fill. And what I'm wondering is, what could you possibly be filling those 15 minutes with? Like,
right.
That's what I want to know. And it's the same thing with Sandy Hook. I'm just like, I want to know what you could possibly be saying in those during that airtime. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like this just came out 26 minutes ago. Jurors award $4.1 million in damages to Sandy Hook parents.
Wow, look at that.
So Alex Jones basically just got them a huge payday.
Yeah, because that's the thing, man. Because it's like, can you imagine? Like, can you for a second imagine? Like, this is the thing. I guess this is like my big point for this issue, and it is that just for being one of the people that said that, Alex Jones is like a huge piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like a huge piece of shit. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like to say something like that, you have to lack so much humanity as a person. You know, to be like, this happened, and 20 plus kids that happened to them, and to those teachers that happened to them, and that's, you know, and these are the people who are left behind.
Yeah.
You know, they're survived by their fucking parents and their siblings, you know.
Yeah.
And for another human being to come out and say that didn't happen, it must be such like a weird experience.
Yeah.
You know, can you imagine that? Like that must be such like a strange experience, and it's dehumanizing, man. You know, so fuck Alex Jones. Whatever happens to him is probably very well deserved. You know,
I'd want to
very well deserved.
I mean, if I were one of those parents, I'd want to fucking strangle that guy.
Oh, dude, absolutely.
Like,
especially because
like you buried a kid, you buried your child, and then someone. I mean, dude, I buried, like, you know, and this is again, before I say this, I just want to preface this for those who are listening. This is not. I'm not equating these two things. I'm actually using it to highlight how much more angry I would be if it were my kid. But, you know, like, I buried my dog last December, and even that, I would have gotten fucking enraged if someone was like, you never had a dog. I'd be like, fuck you, motherfucker! I'm gonna fucking bite your head off.
Yeah, no, dude, absolutely. You know, like, such a piece of shit. And, like, I'm glad that people are memeing him. I'm glad that people are making those, like, Curb Your Enthusiasm memes of him. Because his lawyer's, like, fucked up, and they put him into, like, an even deeper hole, you know.
Dude, his lawyers are bigger idiots than he is, man.
Yeah,
Holy
right?
shit. I have a thought on Alex Jones. And I've thought this for years now. I don't think Alex Jones is real.
I think he's like a character.
Yeah, like character. Exactly. Like, this is I'm hitting him with his own medicine here. Like, this is my conspiracy.
You think he's fake? He doesn't exist.
No. I think he exists, but only in the flesh. Like, I don't think Alex Jones, as we know him, is a real person. Like, I think it's a character, like what you just said. I really do. I do not think this guy's serious. If he is. If he is, fucking voice crack. If he is, he's absolutely deranged, which is entirely possible. But he's like dude, he's so out there and so incapable of just like grounding himself for even like 2 seconds. Like, I remember back, the first I ever saw of Alex Jones was years ago, right after Sandy Hook happened, when Piers Morgan was constantly having people on to debate gun control on CNN, and that was the first time I ever saw Alex Jones. He went on there, and he didn't even let Piers Morgan get a word in. He just spent 5 minutes saying, like, 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms, and blah, blah. I was like, what the shit?
That guy's one of those people, like, he's like the Joker quote, right? Where he's like, you know, whatever it is, you either die here or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Oh, yeah.
I don't mean that by any stretch of the imagination to imply that he was ever a hero.
Yeah.
I mean that in the sense that I feel like that guy's been playing whatever character he's been playing for so long.
Yeah.
I think he's become that. You know.
I
think he's like lost. You know, because like
it's like method acting.
Yeah, because I've seen because that guy's been around forever. He's been around since the 90s. You know? And so much so that he's even in fucking Richard Linklater movies. Like we talked about what is it, Slacker?
Yeah.
That was like the second podcast ever, Slacker. We'll probably upload like the backlog. That's literally called like backlog podcast Slacker or some shit.
Yeah.
Once we fucking get to those. But like in Slacker, there's like a reference to him, you know.
Yeah.
And he is like, he's an actor. He's like an actual person in the Richard Linklater movie, Scanner Darkly.
Yeah.
And that movie's from 2001. You know, like this dude's been around for fucking ever.
Yeah.
And he's been speaking the same way, assuming this same amount of energy into everything. Like, that dude's been doing this shit for so long that if there ever was an actual human being underneath that guy, it died decades before he ever said that frogs were, and I quote, gay.
Yeah. Yeah. They're putting stuff in the water that turns the freaking frogs gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fuck that guy, man. Fuck that, man.
Yeah, he I think you're right. Like, I think it's like a method acting sort of thing where he's probably just totally lost in it. But yeah, I don't think, which at that point,
it's like, there's like times, actors are some of the most like hilarious beings.
Yeah.
And I say that just because this is like that documentary, that Jim Carrey documentary, where he, like, you know, he played the comedian Andy Kaufman.
Yeah.
In that movie, and I think it's like Men on the Moon. And that documentary is entirely about exactly that. Exactly how the fact that Jim Carrey, was like, I'm gonna do method acting for this film. Went method, and then lost himself in there.
Yeah.
And then he just became the biggest jerk, like the biggest asshole. That's entirely what the documentary is about. Like, it's about how he became obsessed with Andy Kaufman, became obsessed with acting like him.
Yeah.
Eventually forgot what his actual personality was.
That's scary.
And in being Andy Kaufman, who was himself publicly an asshole, he was an asshole to everybody, and it was a nightmare.
My God.
So just like the thought of like living a life like that, you know, respect to people who do that, but that sounds way more than miserable. And thinking that Alex Jones is somebody who started off like that, and then just lost everything into this character, to the point that right now he apparently like filed for bankruptcy, but people are saying that that's a conspiracy, that he's actually not bankrupt, that he's just bullshit, you know.
Oh yeah, well they do that all the time, like rich people
it's
like
like
that.
It's like one of those rabbit hole videos where you just like watch like, it's like when you go to YouTube and you see like a 3-hour video and he's like the Kanye West iceberg or something, and it's like 3 hours like just talking about like every minute thing.
Yeah.
Like the version of that for a guy like that would be like a live stream video that never ends, like of all the fucking details and bullshit this man's like being spewing out here.
It's so true. And dude, the thing is, to get even more philosophical with it, so with the whole like method acting thing, I think personally, I'm not an expert, but I think that if you, through your method acting, you do become a different person and you kind of like forget who you are, like that guy who just became an asshole, like you were just talking about.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that small actor Jim Carrey.
Yeah, that
guy. Yeah. To me, it's almost kind of like, well, that was just inside of you this whole time, and you know, it's just being amplified now.
Yeah.
You know, like you're the same self. So, all that's to say that I do. Well, it's difficult because then it's like, well, fuck. I mean, is Alex Jones a character or is that just him? I don't know, man. I really don't know. I mean, I'm sure you know, I think he's disturbed, but I don't know if he believes everything that he's saying. There's an interesting movie called what is it? It's got Daniel Radcliffe in it. He plays a cop that goes undercover to take down a bunch of Nazis.
I know the movie you're talking about. I forget the name, but I know what you're talking about.
It's right on the tip of my tongue. It's like solace or something. Some weird word like solace.
I know exactly what I've seen that poster so many times.
Daniel Radcliffe. Oh, dude, it's right on the Nazi movie. Imperium. Yeah. In that movie, he's like infiltrating a very like an Alex Jones type guy, like who's one of the characters, and he's like this radio host, and but he's like he's like a straight up white supremacist talking about like race wars and stuff. And at a certain point in the film, like Daniel Radcliffe's character undercover is like, all right, so like let's get this race war started, and the guy's just kind of like, nah, like the guy in so many words says like, no, I'm like comfortable just sitting back and making money off this like radio stuff, So
Right.
I do think that I do think it's a character, man. I really do. Either that or he's totally schizophrenic. Could go either way. But I think it's a character. Like I think that becomes your thing. Like you're a conspiracy theorist, and then it's just it's just like what you do. It's your identity, and anything you can glob onto, try to find holes in it.
Yeah.
You just do it. But dude, I just looked him up. He has a movie too, Endgame from 2007.
Really?
It's called Endgame: Blueprint for Global Enslavement.
Yeah. Jeez.
Dude, the funniest thing is if you go to the Wikipedia page and look at the credits. So you ready for the credits?
Yeah.
Directed by Alex Jones. Written
immediately off the top.
Written by Alex Jones. Produced by Alex Jones. Narrated by Alex Jones. Edited by Alex Jones. It's just his name all the way down. It's like he just made this by himself. He edited it. Dude, did he film this with a fucking, like, with a potato? Holy shit, dude. What an idiot.
What a clown, man.
In the film, Alex Jones presents his claim of a eugenics-obsessed group leading the world, whose mission is the elimination of most of the Earth's population and the enslavement of the remainder. He claims that a satanic international network has been steering planetary affairs for hundreds of years, and that eugenics is used by governments Microsoft and the band U2. What? Holy shit, man.
What a pitch, man.
What is going on? I don't know, man. I'm not. There's no. There's not gonna. Dude, yeah, I don't even know where to begin. This is off the rails.
You're like exasperated.
Yeah, I don't think, dude. The whole idea of like a global government that's so fucking stupid, man. It's never gonna last. Like all of human history, and I learned this when I was younger. Like all of human history is literally this pattern. You have like crops of land, right? Different empires. One empire comes along, conquers all of them, holds on to them for a while, and then they fall out of power, and then they get divided up again. And then another motherfucker comes along, conquers all. It's just the same pattern over and over and over again. So, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
I doubt it. Because you can't get that many people under the same to have the power to take over the globe. You have to have a lot of manpower, a lot of people, and you can't. I don't think you can unite that many people under one idea. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know. It seems kind of weird.
I agree. Do what?
Yeah, it just seems it just seems out there, man.
Yeah.
But
this
is Alex Jones we're dealing with.
But moving away from that clown and talking about other clowns that we've talked about before, the Joker 2 movie.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard? I saw the news today that Joaquin's co-star for the film is going to be Lady Gaga.
Holy crap! Okay, I'll just look this up.
Yeah.
What? Is she gonna play Harley Quinn or something?
I don't know, man. She's gonna be in there.
Huh. That seems appropriate. I mean, she's definitely. Yeah, I could definitely see her in a movie
Yeah.
like that.
I'm
She's a
I'm like
weirdo.
a tiny bit skeptical, but I'm for it. I want to see what she does. Um,
Yeah.
I'll give it the old high school try, as they say.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not too. I'm not too skeptical of her. I think
Yeah,
she'll do. I think she'll do really well.
you think so?
Yeah. I'm scared. The question is the movie going to be any good? Uh, but I do think she'll do well with the material she's given. I
Yeah,
do. She's really good in A Star Is Born.
that's like the reason why I'm excited. Excuse me, just because she was really good in that movie, and I'm a big fan of that movie. It's
Yeah.
one of those movies that every time I've seen it, it's grown on me.
Yeah.
But I'm really more skeptical, not really of her, but just like of the movie itself. Like I'm just skeptical of the film itself, of whether these people can actually put it together. Like there's a part of me that is just like So I guess we'll see.
Yeah. And as the years go by, the more I think about Joker, I think it's a good movie. It's a well made movie, but
Yeah.
I do feel a little bit like that type of story. I don't know, man. I guess I just like the older I get, the more I like. I guess empowering stories. In a really broad sense. Um, I still like stories about people's like downfalls and stuff, but I don't know. The more I think about the Joker movie, I'm just like the character is just a complete like like pussy, you
Yeah.
know. Like I don't know. I'm just like the guy's just like I get it. He's like totally deranged. It's a really bad situation, and he was like abused as a
Right.
kid and stuff. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking out of my ass, but
I
I
get
do.
where you're coming from.
But I do. It is sort of concerning sometimes when like you look at a movie like that and you're just like, this is like the hero of this film.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is who we're following? Like I don't know. I don't know. I guess a protagonist, can be anybody.
Exactly. Like I get where you're coming from, and
It's more of a personal taste thing too. I like like one of my like I love the movie James White, right? That guy's and that protagonist is a total loser in that movie. Any listeners out there, if you haven't seen James White, it's a great indie film. Um,
it is.
and that movie, one of the biggest things that I learned from that movie is any anybody could be an interesting protagonist if you give them the right story and the right material, and just the right amount of layers. Um, but yeah, it just kind of comes down to personal taste. There's something about Joker that, as time goes on, it kind of annoys me a little bit. It's just very like incel-y, I guess.
Yeah, you're absolutely right because it's like that was like the biggest criticism of the film. I think that it was just like it's a film about a protagonist that embodies this like philosophy and worldview that we've come to just understand that is very negative,
Yeah.
that produces no positives. And we're in a world where they're making these movies about this character. These are movies that are extremely successful.
Yeah.
Um, but like you said, man, there's nothing we can do about that shit because it's like, literally like you said, like anything and anyone can be the protagonist of the movie, and as long as that's the case, and as long as a character like the Joker is marketable, we're gonna keep getting these movies,
That is true.
regardless of the merit, of it as a thing. It'll just keep happening.
Yeah. And that's like it's very much like an archetype, that Joker character. Um, this particular Joker, though, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, it's very different from like Heath Ledger's Joker or any other Joker, really.
Yeah.
Um, that particular Joaquin Phoenix Joker is an archetype of like you can interchange it with like school shooter, incel, you know, pretty much those two things, like either school shooter or an incel. Like it's that archetype, you know. But it is odd in a country where we have like so many of these attacks by people like that who just don't who just feel like rejected by society, so that they reject or lash out. It's nihilism, you know. It's just odd that has become that was so popular, you know. It's very interesting. It makes you wonder how many of those people are just kind of lurking out there. And I mean, I would say a lot, considering how many mass shootings we have, like, weekly.
Yeah.
It's like a weekly thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like normal. It's like thunderstorm news at this point, or car accidents in the local news. I mean, it really is. Like, the local news reports car accidents, and national news reports mass shootings. Yeah. So it goes to show how much of an issue that is in the country right now. My dad and I were kind of talking about just the kind of culture and attitude in America. It's this culture of like productivity and impressing other people, getting stuff. You know, I have, and I think I said this to you before, like, I feel like everything we do in America to get ahead is for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So that when we sit down at the family dinner table at Thanksgiving,
there's like something to say.
Yeah, there's like you can say like, well, so I'm currently attending this college. So when the dishes are clanking and the forks are clink, 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 and people are eating, it's clink, clink, and then someone says, so, young Edward, what have you been up to lately?
What have you been up to?
That you're not just that you're not just sitting there like, well, I rolled a doob last week, you know, like that's what everyone does everything for. I feel like
just like outside things.
Yeah, and obviously I'm saying that in sort of a comedic bit type way. It just, you know, it's like the reason I say Thanksgiving and Christmas is because it's so stupid, because those are like the only two times, and like Easter, there's like a few times throughout the year that you actually have to like quote unquote report to those fuckers. Yeah. You know, like you really can do just whatever you want. Yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna plug my laptop in.
Yeah.
Yeah, battery's low.
But what do you say if now, all geared up to this podcast, we go into our weekly segments of Better Call Saul?
There you go. Yeah. So this week's episode of Better Call Saul was called Breaking Bad.
Sir.
What are your initial thoughts?
It was great. I had a great time with this episode, man.
Yeah.
You know, that the fact that it opened like the flashback sequences, or rather the flashback sequences. The flashback sequences, were they taking place during the episode Better Call Saul of Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
So basically the Better Call Saul episode titled Breaking Bad was filling in holes of the Breaking Bad episode titled Better Call Saul.
Correct.
It's pretty sick, man.
Yeah.
I had a great time with this episode. And when it opened, he came back to those guys. I was like, I knew it. I knew that he was not done with those guys. I knew that he was not done, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because it's like, you know, it's like, I feel like what the point the episode was trying to make, because I've been sorting it out, and I've come to the conclusion that I think the point that this episode was trying to make is that Saul just can't help himself, man, and that's like been the point of the whole series.
Yeah.
But with this episode, it was just like Saul will never change.
Yeah.
He's not gonna do it.
Yeah,
Like,
and
this
that's
episode
literally
hammered that point home, dude. And because we've all had hope, dude. Like this whole series, I thought that like, okay, for sure, the Gene timeline, the black and white timeline, will actually bring about some change in him. You know, and it seems like it already has when you first watch it. He's like a totally different person. This episode hammered it home. He's never changing, dude. He can't do it.
That's the thing, because we talked about this last episode, right? Like we talked about literally that.
Yeah.
And how it was like how Chuck said that, right? It's like this guy, this is just who this guy is. And we talked about that, we debated that, and like you said, like this episode, like literally that was the idea with this episode. It was like this is just who this guy is, Like he was away from it for a little bit, then he tasted it, right? He was forced, his hand was forced to deal with the situation. Excuse me. And he tasted that feeling again.
Yeah.
And he was like, "There's no, you're back." He bought that fucking little like shaker thing that he had again, and it's like, oh man, and he got those two guys back together. It's like, okay, here we go. You know.
Yeah, and something interesting too. Every time, what you notice is every time Saul or Jimmy is betrayed by somebody, is when he, quote-unquote, breaks bad. So you think back to early in the show when Chuck betrays him and is like, you're not a real lawyer. You're like a chimp with a machine gun. Slip a Jimmy with a law degree, that's like a chimp with a machine gun. Jimmy was like, all right, fuck it.
He doubles down into it.
Yeah, he doubles down. The very next episode, what's he do? He goes back to visit Marco. For a whole week, they freaking run scams. And then it just escalates from there. Then, Kim dumps him. What's he do? Turns into full-fledged Saul Goodman, that time jump.
Yeah.
So we can assume that from that time jump, he just, boom, that was the tipping point.
Mm.
And then in this episode, he calls Kim.
He does.
And
it seemingly goes horribly.
Seemingly goes very bad. And by the way, I found a video on YouTube where the guy mixed the sound. He's a guy.
Really?
Yeah, it's a guy on YouTube who does soundtracks. He separates the soundtrack from the actual sound in Better Call Saul episodes. So I'll actually go and listen to like the soundtracks. He puts them all up like the next day. Dude's an animal. It's called the OST guy. He does it for a bunch of soundtracks.
Oh, that's amazing. I'll look him up right now.
And he made a video where he mixed the sound, and you can hear what Gene is saying to Kim.
Really?
Yeah. So I'll pull that.
I assumed that was like gonna be something that probably like the next episode like starts with.
Yeah. So let me see. Let me find it here. That was the video I sent you today. The Lalo's theme song with Chuck's head slamming against the. That was the that's the channel. It's hilarious. For anyone listening who's confused, I sent Edward a video today from the OST guy. He made a video with Lalo's theme, but the drums are created by Chuck's head hitting the counter when he passes out in the copy shop. Okay. Yeah, so...
Gene's mysterious phone call fixed.
Yeah, so he says, look, don't lecture me, huh? And then he goes, You didn't worry about me. You didn't worry about me. They can only hang me once. I don't really know what that means. And then he says, look, Kim, what do you say we do? And then I'm assuming she just hung up on him.
He smashed the phone.
Yeah, he smashed that damn phone.
Yeah, so like you said, like, again, the episode opens and he calls his ex-secretary, right?
Yeah.
And she just gives him a rundown of what's happening back in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
And she's the one that tells him. She's like, Kim called. Kim asked about you. So that just kind of triggers him to be like, fuck. I want to call her and see what's going on.
Yeah.
And obviously, like you said, he calls her. The phone call goes horribly bad.
Yeah.
That just, again, triggers him to just double down.
Yeah.
Doubles down once again.
Yep, exactly. That's his nature. That's how he... It's almost like he has... It's almost like when he feels pain, he just wants to spread that pain. I don't know how else to say it. He wants to... when he feels like... It's like what he says, wolves and sheep, And when he feels like a sheep, when someone victimizes him and makes him feel like a sheep, he needs to become the wolf.
Yeah.
He's like, I need to become a wolf as soon as possible. And how do I do that? I fucking prey on people. Because that's what Jimmy is, ultimately. Like, he's a predator. And say, Walter White, he was a bastard and probably a worse person than Saul.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely. But he wasn't a predator. He didn't like full on just like his thing wasn't preying on people other than meth heads, I guess. But they don't count. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah, Saul's a predator, man. What scenes stood out to you in this one?
Let me see. I liked the beginning when again the secretary is like there.
Yeah.
I didn't like that scene at the beginning with her and like those like potheads.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, oh, you guys started throwing the pot down the drain. I didn't like that scene. Like I actually didn't.
I liked that. Why didn't you like
scene? Whenever I watch something,
yeah,
it feels like something somebody would have written in college. It makes me comfortable.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So that was like one of those things where it's like I was watching that scene and I was like, I probably would have written that, or somebody else in the writer's room would have written that. It's not clever and it's like obnoxious. So like the episode started like bad for me, where I was just like, but then the cinematography and the music like carried me out of that.
Yeah.
And I was left thinking like, why did we need to open with that scene? It was like whatever, but we go from there, and I really liked how paranoid she was.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is great. This is a great insight into this character, And then the phone call. I really liked the phone call. I really liked the whole, like, walk this many steps, and you're going to find a bottle, like a can, and there's a string, and you pull the string. I like that whole thing, because it was like, of course,
Yeah.
And I also liked that when she was driving, there was like an ad that said Trust Oakley.
That was brilliant, dude.
Yeah.
That was brilliant, man. How they made him a lawyer. That was funny.
Yeah.
Bill. That was good, though. It was good because they showed, like, it was just a nice way to, one, have a little cameo from him, and then two, to just show a bit of, like, change. It's a great directorial decision or writer decision, whoever decided it.
I mean, the writer was the director for this one.
Oh, that's right. This was Thomas Schnauz, I believe, right?
That's right, yeah.
That was his last one.
If there's a scene that really stood out for me, two scenes like really stood out for me. Actually three scenes really stood out for me. First and foremost, Walt and Jesse being back. I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Like, when I saw those guys, I was like, holy shit, And for a minute, I was like, oh, these guys seem a little bit rusty, like, they're Jesse's really old, Walt looks the exact same way. He looks the exact same way.
People are memeing Jesse really hardcore right now.
Because he looks so old, and not only that, but like one of the very first deliveries that he has, he sounds Irish.
Really?
He sounded like he had an Irish accent, like one of the very first, and then after that, it never happened again. We played like 3 or 4 times. So I was like, he sounds Irish.
Yeah.
Like he was like he's playing a character in another movie or something, and they like sneaked in there. But dude, like after a minute, after I kind of like settled into what I was watching, I was like, oh, they still got it. You know?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
And I really liked the car that's starting and the banter between him, Jesse, and Walt. And then Saul saying to him, I got 2 free words for you. And he goes like, Jiffy Lube. That made me laugh.
Yeah. My favorite part of that scene, and it was the part where I was like, okay, these 2 shows have now become one, is with Jesse saying, so, who's Lalo?
Who's Lalo? Yeah.
Because I was like, we just listened to a strictly Breaking Bad character mention a strictly Better Call Saul character.
Yes.
And, you know, like, well, he's not strictly Breaking Bad, he's now in Better Call Saul, but we just listened to a Breaking Bad character mention a character who's only in Better Call Saul.
Yes.
You know, and that was the moment where I was like, okay, these 2 worlds have fully come together. Hearing Jesse say the word Lalo, it just did it for me. I was like, okay, these are 2 in the same now.
That intense cut, that like close up of his like face from the side, just him like just knowing what Jesse saying that name to him, like what probably all the memories that triggered in that second. You know?
Yeah.
He's like it's nobody.
Yeah, and I mean he played that really well. Like he looks really uncomfortable. How he's just like it's nobody. Hey, can you get that RV started, please? You know, like he like he just starts panicking. I mean that, and you know what that scene did too? It really elevated Lalo's importance. Like Lalo really was like the big bad. You know, like Lalo, such an important character for everybody. But I would argue that he was the most important, the character whose life he was most important instrumental in, was Saul's. Out of everyone
absolutely.
in the show, he ruined Saul's life.
Yeah, because the thing is that for Gus and for Mike and everybody else, Lalo, after they killed him, he didn't matter.
Yeah.
He didn't matter. Like, he just didn't matter. Like, you know, but for Jimmy, it just had, like you said, so many just, like, deep-rooted consequences as to why he is where he is and why he's in the state of being that he is.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, dude, Lalo's like a freaking ghost, man.
Yeah. But the cut that I like from that is that once we kind of left that scene, the camera tilts to the hole that they had dug.
Yeah.
And then it fades into a shot of him sleeping in bed.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, the symbolism, the imagery is all here, you know.
Yeah.
It was even though he never got in that hole, he got in that hole anyway, you know.
Yeah.
He got himself in there anyway. So that was quite something, man. It was quite an episode, like such masterfully directed, you know, great cinematography, like all those driving shots of the car and all those really wide shots of like when they got to the houses. That first shot of that dog was great, like such a great, like just like freeze frame, take a screen capture, like great shot, great dog actor, like really cute dog.
Yeah.
Just great scheme, you know, just like stealing from these guys. The thing that I wanted to ask you, I wanted like your perspective on what the deal is here. we see Mike in the Better Call Saul, like in the Breaking Bad timeline,
Yeah.
and Saul asks him about Walt, and funnily enough, Mike's like, "Don't mess with that guy. Like, don't mess with me. It's a red flag. Don't mess with him."
Yeah.
And Jimmy's like doubling down, and we keep pushing these close up on him of just you knowing that he's going to. He's like Mike's telling him not to mess with the fucking science teacher, and he's going to do it. And we know how everything pans out for everybody.
Yeah.
For everybody. But just I wanted to ask you how do you think that relates? Him meeting the guy that also has cancer, and to him, very stupidly, right?
Yeah.
Very telegraphed, this is a stupid decision.
Yeah.
Double down to go and finish the scheme him. How do you see those two things really?
Yeah, that was what I was really sorting out for. That's what I actually rewatched the Mike scene a couple times to try to figure it out, and what I came up with. So there's kind of a surface level thing. Both of those are seemingly Saul walking into the biggest mistake of his life,
Yes.
But that's very surface level. I think at least so. First, this is what I think about just the scene with Mike telling him not to do it, and then Saul does it anyway. I do have a very defined thought about that scene, about why Saul is like, nope, I'm doubling down. I think that in that moment, when Mike was calling Walt small potatoes and saying, was doubting him and saying, oh, this and that, I think Mike reminded Saul of Chuck. I think he reminded him of Chuck and how Chuck used to say that about Jimmy. And how Chuck used to doubt him, put him down, say that, no, you're not a real lawyer. He said, Chuck would say, you're not a real lawyer.
Saying that he was
Mike
identifying
was saying,
with
yes,
Walt.
I think he was identifying with Walt there. He saw himself in Walt a little bit. I think it reminded him, Mike saying, this guy is not a real, player. He's not a real, dealer. He's not the real deal. Was reminded him of Chuck saying, you're not a real lawyer. You're not the real deal. And that's why he was like, you know what? Fuck it. No, fuck you, Chuck. Chuck Ermintrout. Now, how those two scenes are related, it's really tricky, man. Because there's also the surface level thing of them both having cancer, but again, that's not really... Again, that's very surface level. The writers are smarter than that. We might have to wait and see what happens. But, yeah, I think both of them were him doubling down. So I think maybe in the Gene timeline, yeah, it's tough. It's tough, dude. It's tough. I'm trying to think of the parallel, and I'm not really finding it.
The only parallel that I can...
The Gene timeline has more to do with morality, whereas the Breaking Bad timeline has that scene has had more to do with just being a doubter and being skeptical.
Because this is I guess my thought process, right? The connection that I can create in my head is that in his head, he said a key point. He said to those guys, when both of them were, when the guy with the dog was like, I'm not going to rub a thing with a guy with cancer, he has the same cancer my dad had. My dad died not too long ago. I'm not gonna go through it, you know.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I respect that guy. I was like, you know, you have a code and you're sticking by it. You know? Which somehow, you know, I feel like when you're a criminal, you should have something like that.
Yeah, that's what makes Mike so likable.
And I feel like a code should be, we don't execute the scheme on the first try. Let's not go for it again. You know? I feel like that should be a code. Because like, you know, the second time the cops are gonna show up, and the show's gonna end, and it's gonna be tragic for you and everybody, and it's gonna be sad. You know, whatever. That's probably what's gonna happen anyway. But the thing with me that I saw there was that he was probably thinking to himself, like, that maybe this was the thought process, that he was like, if you had told anybody about Walt, it would have been like, and as he got away with crime for so long, would have been like, oh, he's a guy with cancer, some chemistry teacher, you know, nobody should do that guy any wrong, his days are counted. You know? And maybe he just saw that guy with cancer as like Walt himself, just being like, no, that guy is evil, you know. Maybe, like, I'm just trying to justify his actions in my head and why he would double down like that. Because maybe how he identified himself with Walt, and he wanted to double down and working with him, maybe he's identifying his trauma with Walt. Walt having been basically the guy that made everything horrible, and the downfall of everything and everybody. Like, maybe he's just identifying that guy with cancer with Walt. Yeah. He's just seeing him as Walt, and basically seeing him as like, this is my opportunity to get back at Walt, who I'm projecting into this guy, you know? Yeah. That's like my only take on this. Like, we'll see like what the show tells us, but that's my take on it, you know?
Could be. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, one thing, the scene on its own, the black and white timeline, that scene on its own in a vacuum, to me it was like, okay, this is the wolves and sheep thing again, you know? And it was almost like Gene was just trying, and maybe this is it, right? So okay, I think I got it. So, Saul, when I say that in that scene that Mike is poo-poo, this is like complex. Like, these writers are fucking brilliant, but I think I figured it out. So in the scene where Mike is talking to Saul,
I think I know exactly what we're going to say, because I thought about that as I was saying the thing I said.
Yeah. He's poo-pooing Walt, and it reminds Saul of how Chuck poo-pooed him when he was Jimmy. So when he was identifying with Walt, he was identifying with Jimmy. Jimmy is his humanity, right? Like, Jimmy's like his humanity. That's the good part of him that's slowly been dying as the series goes on. So then when we go with your hypothesis that in that scene he's trying to get back at Walt, in a way I think maybe at the same time because I said this while I was watching it. I was like this guy Saul is just trying to snuff out every last bit of humanity he has left. I'm convinced that's what he's trying to do at this point, because the human part of him keeps getting hurt. You know, just Jimmy, it keeps getting hurt, you know? And so I think maybe that's what's going on. It's like he's trying to kill Jimmy, basically, metaphorically.
Yeah.
The Jimmy part of him.
Yeah. And I thought about that too. Like, funnily enough, because when I was saying to you what I was saying, I thought I was like, oh shit, maybe that, you know. Yeah. So it's funny that you thought about that too.
Yeah, we were on the same like logic chain.
It's like somehow that thought inspired this other thought.
Yeah, it's really complex. If that's what they're doing, then that's really complex.
Yes.
But yeah, maybe I think that might be it. We'll see.
Yeah, I think so, man. And I hope My hope is that next episode, like I said, it opens that phone call, and we have some context as to what she said to him.
Yeah, definitely.
Before we see like how that robbery pans out for him.
Yeah, I think one of
we know the cops are gonna get involved to some extent.
Yeah, I think one of the creators confirmed that we're gonna know what happened in that phone call.
Okay. Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah. Also, someone pointed this out online. I didn't even think of it. So, Kim, they mentioned her. She's working at like a sprinkler place or something. At the time of this episode, when he calls her, and the next episode is titled Waterworks.
Really?
So we're probably gonna see Kim.
Right.
So
things are coming together, man.
It's felt kind of lonely without Kim, honestly.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably intentional. We're supposed to feel that void, like that he feels without her.
Yeah.
She really is a great character, you know.
But I feel like it's like multifaceted, right? Because it feels almost like it's like a void from everybody, you know.
Yeah.
To me, it's like not just her, but the fact that there's no more like we're gonna cut away and see Nacho, or cut away and see Gus, or cut away and see Mike, or cut away and see what Kim's up to.
Yeah.
Like we're just stuck with this guy now.
Yeah. Well, the show got very quiet ever since Lalo's death. And I will say this, and it's not. I don't think it's a flaw in the show, but I will say it's very jarring, and maybe it's supposed to be this way, but if we think about the first half of this season and how fucking like it was like, oh, Nacho's on the run, and oh my god, they're trying to figure out where Nacho is, and oh my god, the twins are after him, and oh, Lalo's now he's in Germany, and now he's in the States again, and now he's in Mexico, and now he's. You know, and just all this shit's going on. Oh my god, Lalo's at the apartment. Oh, now he's in a sewer. Now he's in a fucking, the laundry. Like, it was so fast paced.
Yeah.
And so, it just, ever since Lalo's death, it has felt it's been jarring. Like, it feels like someone we're on the highway and someone pulled the fucking emergency brake and we're just like, oh, and it's like...
no, absolutely, yeah.
Fuck. It's like we just slammed on the brakes.
Yeah, and now everybody's just, like, waiting for this, like, very small things,
Yeah.
Like, having seen those jokes of, like, Breaking Bad fans when they thought that this episode that we're going to see Walt and Jesse, but they just see, whatever. Like, the episode before this one.
Yeah.
It feels like that, where it's like you said before, there was so much high intensity, so many twists and turns, so many things, and like now it's like, okay, we're waiting. Each episode, we're like waiting for one thing to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like really on to like the very like minute again.
Definitely. Which it does feel it's very purposeful. I'll say that.
Yeah, no, I believe that too, absolutely.
And I do like quiet films, contemplative films, suspenseful films. I do like that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. The show is the show makes you long for things. It is a very sad show, and it's a thing. That's the thing. Like you have to great art, like fantastic, phenomenal art, is sort of like a wrestling match. It is like it is. You do have it. You sort of wrestle with it. You're sort of giving away energy to it, and it's sort of giving away energy to you. Because when you watch a shitty movie that didn't make you feel any sort of way, it's like, well, yeah, you didn't give any energy to it. You didn't feel sad or happy or whatever. But with something like Better Call Saul, it's like, well, this is so great, but there is a price to the greatness where, like, it has an effect on you. Like, you do feel, after it, you feel, like, anxious or sad or kind of depressed, like, after certain episodes or scenes. So, what I'm trying to say is that great art carries sacrifice for the creator and the viewer / reader / listener, whatever.
Yes. Yes.
And that's my 2 cents on art.
All right, brother. Did you have anything else to add on this Better Call Saul episode?
No, that's it, man. I say, just to keep, because I got to pack, I say we jump right into the film.
All right, let's do it, man. We're literally an hour into this podcast. Let's talk about this week's movie.
The Asphalt Jungle.
Yes, sir.
I got to say, dude, I liked this movie. Well, how'd you feel about it?
I did too. I mean, it's a classic.
Yeah.
It's not bad to like these classics. And I feel like this movie's in the vein of Better Call Saul, funnily enough.
I felt that way too, yeah. Very noir. I mean, it's a noir. It's literally a film noir.
Yeah.
Where Better Call Saul is a very noir show, more so than Breaking Bad. But yeah, that's the thing with and you're right, with classics. It sometimes is like no surprise that you like it. Because it's like, well, it's a classic for a reason. You know, a lot of people like it for a reason, and not all classics have been hits with me. Most are, but just by nature, because that's why they're classics. But this one certainly hit. Like, I really enjoyed this movie. I felt the way I enjoyed this movie the same way I just really enjoy like classic Alfred Hitchcock films, where they're just so like, dude, it just hooks you, man. Like, it just hooks you, like, right away with this plot. So, in this film, kind of the basic idea is you have this guy, Doc, gets out of prison, which I thought it was interesting that they gave him a French accent, considering that film noir is a French genre, or originated in France, rather. So I thought that was interesting. That must have been a nod. And he was a really likable character, I thought. A lot like the professor in Money Heist. And yeah, he's starting this, it's the heist, the typical heist plot. You son of a bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's not really like that, because they don't all know each other. But so he gets out of prison. He hires a few guys for a big heist, but he needs funding for the flat fee to get the guys on the job. So he goes to what's the guy's name? Lon.
He's a lawyer. Yeah, the Marilyn Monroe calls him Uncle Lon,
which was really creepy.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those.
Sugar
it's
baby.
One of those.
He was a total sugar daddy in this movie. That was like the.
He was Mr. Emmerich.
Yeah, that's right. And he was a great character. What I really loved about Mr. Emmerich in this film, and it really hit me, and I realized this a while ago, but it just cemented it when I was watching this movie, or reminded me of this. I really enjoy films and TV shows about people trying to get money.
Yeah, I mean, dude, if there's any relatable thing in modern human civilization, it's that.
Yeah, because you think about like the philosophy of money, like it's currency, it's a thing that you use to get what you want. You can do anything with money, except anything, within the laws of nature, pretty much, you can do with a certain amount of money. And again, like, I love films and TV shows. I mean, again, like Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, that's all those shows are about. The protagonist the whole time just trying to get money. Like, that's what it is. There's deeper reasons behind it, but again, that's with everyone. Everyone has a reason they want money. My reason is going to be different from your reason that I would want money or that you would want money. And I thought of it when Mr. Emmerich is talking to his PI, his private investigator, and they're hatching that alternate scheme of like, all right, let's scam these guys, rip them off.
Right.
Let's
It's a
rip them
scheme
off.
within a scheme. Yeah,
Which
within
I
a
love.
scheme. There's
Yeah, which I love that. I love double cross
three
heists.
schemes. Yeah.
Yeah, double cross heists are great. It makes me think of the Italian Job, the 2003 version, where they pull off that huge heist, and then Edward Norton's character just takes all of it, kills the motherfuckers, and but the idiot, well, no, he kills one of them and leaves all of them alive, and it's like, well, yeah, what did you think was going to happen? These guys are going to come back for you. But trying to get my train of thought back. Yeah, but
he gets the crew together. Yeah, he double crosses them.
Yeah, so I'm watching that scene and I'm like, it's so fascinating what money turns the desire for money, like, and the desperation for money sometimes. Like, sometimes you don't even really want the money for the carrot, but because of the stick. You know? It's like, no, I don't want money because of because I want something. I fucking need money, otherwise I'm in trouble, you know?
Yeah, which was the reason for that guy.
Exactly. And while I'm watching that scene...
Because all the other characters, it was the stick for them. Like, not the stick, it was the carrot.
The carrot, exactly.
They something out of that.
Yeah, they had no reason.
For Emmerich, it was like, oh, I'm broke.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I say they had no reason, they had no they had no need. There was nothing forcing them to pull off that heist. But yeah, with Emmerich, it was like the guy's desperate, and when I'm like, man, it's so fascinating. Like, the desire, the need for money just can turn people into all sorts of different like personalities. You know, it's crazy, man. But I really enjoy that aspect. Again, you can name so many movies about that. Scarface, Wolf of Wall Street. You know, where it's just
like literally. I mean, Martin Scorsese's whole filmography. Yeah,
it's just watching what the pursuit of money and the high life, sex, money, and power really does to a person and could do to a person, and is it always bad, you know? And it's crazy, man.
Because ultimately this is a movie about, like, I guess, like, characters and the things that designate their downfall, right?
Yeah.
For Emmerich, it was that he was just involved in too many lies to keep, right? It was just like, this guy is broke. He doesn't want anybody to know he's broke. And he's telling Marilyn Monroe a story. He's telling his wife another story. He's telling all the heist guys another story. He's telling his PI another story. So it's like, that guy was like, dude, like, you can't keep living like this, you know?
Yeah.
Just digging all these holes. You don't have enough sand to put back all the fucking, like, dirt there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And with the little Frenchman, it was that. It was the French guy was just like, just what he's doing at women. Like, that was the thing that he kept saying.
He kept saying, girls.
Exactly. Every single time he opened his mouth to talk about his motivation, it was like women. Or, what is it, for dicks, it was like, oh, I want to go back to my farm, I want to buy it back, and I want to just go back to the place where everything makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
No, for, like, all these guys just had this little thing. Like, the bartender guy didn't have anything. He wasn't really a major player in the movie. But the Puerto Rican man, the guy who was, like, the locksmith, he just wanted some kids. He just wanted some money for his family, you know?
Yeah.
It's like all these guys just had their motives, and exactly the things that they wanted were the things that got them, you know?
Yeah.
So it was like this movie was like a tale of, consequences, you know? This was a very Greek tragedy kind of movie, you know? Yeah, it's like this guy wants a thing, and that thing takes him out.
Yeah, it was a tale of desire, really. It's like the harm of desire. Don't give in to desire.
However pure, man, because even when you think about the guy just wanting to provide for his family, or Dix, who literally just wanted to go back to his farm and hang out with his horses, like, even if those are things that are not, like, you know, perverted or criminal, you know, like, it went about it in the wrong way, you know.
Yeah.
and they let that desire push them into making the wrong decisions. They just wanted that so much that they made criminal decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah,
It's one of
man.
those. It's one of those, man. It's one of those like Veggie Tales, like kind of Bible type of movies where it's like
Yeah.
there's a very clear message here, and it's don't be a douchebag. Like don't be a douche. Don't steal from people.
Yeah. Don't be consumed by desire, because there's like I've been fairly spiritual the past year or so, and like where I come from is like, look, desire is fine. Like we all feel desire for something. Desire is great. Desire is like what you know motivates us. There's no other reason to get out of bed but desire. And I'm not with the whole because there's certain uh, philosophies and religions like whatever Buddhism or Christianity or whatever these different religions where they're like desire's fine but just don't have what you desire or don't take what you desire. It's like, no, man, take it but just don't be consumed by it. Like, think before you take it. Like, okay, you want to provide for your family, like you desire to provide for your family, okay,
Right.
maybe don't fucking rob a jewelry store. Like, okay, you want girls, like, all right, well, maybe don't rob a jewelry store.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
and same with dicks.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna keep repeating
But
that, but yeah.
but that so there's that element to the movie, right? But regardless of that, it was clear to me. Like I was kind of like aware of that. And I was kind of aware, like, when the first guy went down and the fucking ship started falling, I was like, I know where this is going. I liked the very slow start. Like 45 minutes. The movie's an hour and 50-minute long.
Yeah.
And 52 minutes. And it took 45 minutes to get to the heist. Like, all of that was just building up who Dix was, building up, the police and the relationship the police had with the locals, like just building everything up, just being like, oh, this guy got out of here, and he's going to pitch you the bank robbery scheme, and he's going to gather the guys, and after he gathers those guys, the heist happens, and it takes like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Really quick. And then, literally, the next 50 minutes of the film are just the consequences,
Yeah.
These guys dying off one by one, Emmerich having told too many lies, and it just comes off at the seams,
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed it. It was a fun time. Very simple, straightforward movie, but perfectly executed,
Perfectly executed, yeah. Yeah, I would say too. I loved the format of the final act. How it was everybody kind of splitting up and going their separate ways, and then just kind of seeing what happens to them.
Just everybody having their own demise,
Yeah, and it gave me an idea. If I could be a little self-indulgent here, but I have, as you know, I have a comic book series called Jockey, and it's a neo-noir heist thriller series. Takes place in the modern day though, but in Chicago, and I thought that would be kind of a cool format for the final like 2 episodes. Like, so the second to last episode would be like this one big heist, and then the final episode would be the end of the second to last episode. They all just kind of split up, and the final episode would be the fates of each one.
Yeah.
I thought that'd be kind of cool.
It's cool, man.
If I end up,
we gotta take inspiration from the classics.
Yeah. If I end up doing that, I will owe that idea to the Asphalt Jungle.
I think a lot of things owe their ideas to this movie.
Yeah, no, definitely. This is seems like a very definitive film noir, which I need to watch more film noirs. I've seen lots and lots of neo noir films, but not a lot of classic film noirs. Very few. And this movie definitely made me want to get more into those.
No, great time, man. Great time. I liked the very last shot a lot. Just this man who's bleeding out, getting to those horses and just falling over, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I got. It's a fun time, classic film stuff.
Yeah, I watched it. I watched it with my dad, and he said that the ending reminded him a little bit of Cool Hand Luke.
That's right. Yeah.
Like that guy reminded him a little bit of Cool Hand Luke. Just kind of got the shit end of the stick in life, and which I like that as a crime. Like there's the whole Wolf of Wall Street crime thing where it's like this guy's just kind of like is just greedy, but then there's also other crime pieces
crime
like
is the crime of the needy, not the crime of the greedy, the crime
right.
of the need.
Exactly, like Breaking Bad or Saul or whatever. Where
but that's like the shitty thing though, because I guess like I've gotten too used to like these modern things where I wanted to see at least one of these guys get away with it, you know.
Yeah.
I
did too.
Because I was like, I know that this is what in watching this movie, I was like, I know that this is a movie that's supposed to teach people a lesson about life.
Yeah.
But I was like, but just for one character, make an exception. You know, just for the let him get to the farm and do with his horses. You know.
Yeah.
But no dice, man. No dice.
I wasn't sure. You know, I wasn't sure. I thought one thing that was kind of jarring to me. I thought that Doc, when he got caught by the cops, I thought something was up his sleeve. Not literally, but figuratively. Like I thought he had something. I thought he had something up his sleeve. Like and then that was it. And I was like, oh.
That was it. Like you, I thought there was something else to that scene. Like I also thought for a second that his driver had turned him in.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, but no, that wasn't it either. The driver wasn't really. The driver was actually looking out for him. He was like, "Let's get out of here," you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was strange because, like you said, it felt like that scene was missing something. Like the fact that we both came out of that scene with that impression means that it just felt like it was missing something.
My dad felt the same way. I don't know if it was purposeful misdirection because I thought
maybe
because when this is what I thought too. When he pulled because he was doing that shit with the coins, right? Like he was doing that shit with the coins where he was like, "Oh, give me this change in nickels or whatever." Then when he's outside and the cops catch him, the cop holds up his coat pocket and is like, "We got him," you know, and like jingles the jewels around in there. I thought he was gonna open the pocket and there was gonna be a bunch of coins. Like that, I thought they were setting that up, and I just I don't know if it was accidental or purposeful misdirection, but
I think to be honest, I'm leaning towards accidental.
Doc went back to prison to get fucked. Can you imagine that guy in the whole movie? I was like, this guy. How did this guy survive prison?
Exactly. How did this guy make it, man? This small French boy. This old boy. Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it. Oh, and Marilyn Monroe said.
Do you mind if we go a little bit into trivia time and then we wrap this thing up?
Oh yeah, go ahead. One thing I was gonna say, Marilyn Monroe saying "yipe" a bunch of times.
Yeah, that's right. Marilyn Monroe's in this movie.
I found that kind of interesting. She just kept saying it in that one scene.
She's in this movie for probably a total of like 3 minutes altogether.
She's the poster.
Somehow she's in the poster of the movie. Bro, she's not even in the credits. Like, at the very beginning of the film, when they, like, put the actresses' names, she's not one of them.
Oh, she's not there?
She's in the end credits, but she's not in the beginning credits.
Was this, like, an early role for her?
Dude, this was, like, her second role, I think.
Really? So is her being on the poster, is that, like, retroactive? Is that, like,
yes.
Okay.
It is retroactive. They did that like 2 years later when she blew up. Like, you know, because this is 1950. So when she blew up a couple years later, they were like, "Oh shit!" Like we should market this movie as a movie that features her prominently, and
Right.
it doesn't at all. She's not even in the fucking beginning credits.
Yeah. Well, I can definitely see why everybody was in love with her. Certainly after watching this movie. My
Yeah.
goodness. But yeah, uh, great movie. Great movie.
So let's go into some Asphalt Jungle trivia. In 2008, it was inducted into the National Film Registry for culturally, historically, or aesthetically insignificant. This is one of those movies that is like permanently like part of the U.S. like libraries or whatever. Poster showing Marilyn Monroe in a purple dress was created much later after she became a household name. We just talked about that.
Gotcha.
All the dialogue spoken by Alberto Morin, the guy that plays Eddie Donato, like the Puerto Rican guy, said that he was dubbed. All his dialogue was dubbed, and it was because the Puerto Rican guy, Alberto, his accent was too thick.
Huh.
And he was supposed to be Italian, so they just dubbed him. Just got like some Italian guy, and they dubbed him. And there was a lot of noticeable dubbing in this movie. Like there was a lot of points where I was like, "What did you say, Chief? Like, what was that?" And I had to like go back, and like you can clearly hear when the audio clip becomes like the ADR like dubbing. Like you can clearly hear it.
You know what movies are really bad about that are spaghetti westerns.
Yeah.
Like Clint Eastwood, like the Good, Bad, and the Ugly. Dude, those movies, the whole freaking movie's ADR. Like they'll just be sitting there eating dinner, and it's just like, I want to know where he is.
They're like actually chewing food.
Yeah, it's like that's not him, dog.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that in this movie. The next thing is it's a big one. This movie was they wanted to show this movie in France. This is a very French movie, as you said. It's a fucking neo-noir film. So they wanted to show it in France, but for some reason, when they wanted to show this movie in France, they wanted to show it in color. So they colorized the film.
Oh, that's
they
right.
actually colored the film. And they wanted to show it in France. And this made John Huston's family so upset. They were like, "Fuck you! Like you're not showing the film. You're not showing it in color." So they sued French networks that wanted to show it in color, and the French networks won. So in 1989, for years they just fucking showed the movie. Not for years. 1989, they showed the movie in color. And they got away with it. They were like, "We're going to show this shit however we want. Fuck you guys. Fuck John Huston. We're going to show this movie in color. Who gives a fuck?"
Wow.
But then in 1991, there was a case called Turner Entertainment Company versus Houston, in which they won. And because of this, in 1991, a court ruling also applied to the French. They had to show it in black and white because the court said, stating that colorizing the movie transformed the original artwork enough to potentially transgress the author's moral rights. So this made it so that French people couldn't show American black and white movies color.
Wow.
Very interesting. A little bit of film trivia.
That's crazy, dude. Now, isn't the French film, which is also on my watch list, I think the French film Rififi?
It's completely inspired by this movie.
Yeah, it's like almost like a remake of this movie.
Completely inspired.
It's the
That's
same.
part of the trivia too.
Yeah, I noticed it's like the same plot. It's like the guy gets out of prison and plans a big heist.
Yeah. I'm excited to see Rififi and just see which one executes this idea better.
Yeah, Rififi's got a nice poster, dude. Have you seen that poster?
I've seen that poster.
The one with the there's a few though. The one with the guns.
Yeah, I've seen it. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, it looks like I feel like almost feel like that's where Cowboy Bebop got that sort of look from.
Yeah. Oh, very, very likely.
Yeah,
Very
that's
likely.
a
Yeah. No. Amazing, amazing poster.
yeah, really nice poster.
That's not the movie for next week. Rafifi will be a movie for never. Never gonna watch Rafifi in this podcast. You're never gonna watch Rafifi, and I'm never gonna watch Rafifi. The movie doesn't even fucking exist, Jake. What are you talking about?
I'd like to see you try to stop me.
Yeah, but this received nominations for Best Supporting Actor for Sam Jaffe. Houston received nominations for his writing, directing, and Harold Rosson received cinematography nomination. So he's nominated for 4 things. That's it. Now I'm going to tell you the shortest positive and the shortest negative review.
Okay.
The shortest positive is this motherfucker's name is Dix Henley. Wow. And the other shortest one is a Stone Cold classic at last shot.
That's the negative one?
Those were 2 like very brief positive ones.
Oh,
because I thought the one that just said this motherfucker's name is Dix Handley was too off topic.
Yeah, well, dude, that did. I don't know if maybe I'm just immature, dude. But throughout at first in that movie, they kept saying Dix, and I was just like, this guy's name is Dix, and then it was like Dix, and I was like, oh, okay, like Dixon. All right, I get it.
Yeah. So now the shortest negative one is one that says, "I'm free!" Bunch of exclamation points. Worst experience of my fucking life.
But that guy's favorite movie is like, that guy's favorite movie is probably Unbreakable. No, because that's how I felt after Unbreakable. That guy's favorite movie is probably Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen.
Yeah. That's it, man. That's it. That's a classic.
Yeah,
that
movie was engaging, man. Like, come on now. Cool, man. Do you have a pick for next week?
I do have a pick for next week, and this pick for next week, I actually hinted towards. It's been built. It's been foreshadowed, and it is the 2001 movie "Waking Life" by Richard Linklater.
Okay, all right.
It's next week's podcast film.
I always love some Richard Linklater.
Same here, man. You know I do. And this movie features 2 iconic characters, Jesse and Celine from the 4 movies.
They're actually characters in this film?
Yeah, the 2 actors are in this film and they play characters. This is like an unofficial sequel to Before Sunrise.
Huh.
Sunset. Before Sunset.
Whoa, that's fascinating, dude. Wow, that's trippy. Okay, all right. Well, dude, this is that time of year. Since it's back to school season, I always watch School of Rock in August.
Yeah, oh, so this is good. This is a topical film.
Yeah. So it's yeah, man. Cool. Looking forward to it, sir.
Hi, man.
All right, audience, it's time for you guys to get the hell out.
Yeah, it's time for you guys to leave.
Get out. Adios.
All right, we're back. We're done. We're done.
Yeah.
See you on the next Film Tangents podcast. That's that, Mattress Man. We're out.